What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We have another deck list here for you guys today as we continue to get ready for the launch of Star Wars Limited. Today we are going to be going over the newly announced Emperor Palpatine, and as most people suspected, Emperor Palpatine is the final green villainy unit left to announce. Now every unit is announced, and we're going to go ahead and continue on trying to go over deck list before the game comes out because the game release is just around the corner. The deck for Emperor Palpatine is an interesting one. Now, it, in my opinion, struggles against aggro decks. The main reason being I'll kind of go over as we get into the deck list. But yeah, you kind of want to play the long game with him, mainly because of how much it takes to get him out. But we'll go over that in a second. I want to go ahead and thank everyone for supporting so far. Greatly appreciative of all of you. And I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you guys. And if you want me to do anything in the future or what you guys want to do, let me know in the comments. I'm always accommodating to you guys. I want to make the best content for you guys possible. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the deck list here. Let's go over the leader. Obviously, we have Emperor Palpatine, Galactic Ruler. So as a leader, action for the cost of 1, and you exhaust your leader here, defeat a friendly unit. It's a little bit rough, but you get to deal 1 damage to a unit and then draw a card. The draw power is very nice, and there are some cards that we're going to be going over that works really well with this ability, and you can kind of take advantage of that just to get through your deck faster, right? To try to get to that late game, hopefully you have what you need and you last up to the point to where Palpatine can come out. But again, it takes a while for that. His epic action is if you control 8 or more resources, deploy this unit as, you know, the rest of the leaders are. But the thing is, it's 8 resources. So it takes a really long time to get to that point. And so it's a little bit the grinding game, right? You want the game to last really long. The issue is that a lot of people, they play Sabine, they play Leia, they play other really fast decks to the point where it might be a struggle to get to your 8 resources. And so that's where this deck is kind of like still a work in progress. I'm having fun testing it out, but again, I will be making changes to it. And when I do make changes to it, and as things kind of improve, I will go ahead and do an updated list of each of the leaders that I've already kind of went over. But again, we're going to be doing deck lists for a while and kind of updating them as the game continues, right? With that being said, after you deploy this unit, it has, when deployed, take control of a damaged non-leader unit. So if you see something on the other side that you want to take over, you can go ahead and activate this ability for 1, hit it, so it takes the damage, and then you can go ahead and take it out, right? I mean, take it out by, like, you deploy Emperor Palpatine after, and then you go ahead and take over that unit. So that's a really good combo, especially because, again, you're waiting until you have 8 resources, so there's a good chance that you have on the other side something that's either been powered up by your opponent or something that is, like, freshly played that costs a lot. So you might actually be able to take a good unit over from your opponent, which is just very good and very, like, it's like a kind of a pretty good momentum swing too, because if you think about it this way, right? So your opponent has like a couple of units, let's say they have 2 and you have 1 unit, right? You go ahead, you ping one of the units that you want to grab, and then you go ahead and you deploy Emperor Palpatine, and then it's a 3-1 switch, right? So now you have 3 units, and then your opponent has 1. And so that's a really big game changer, especially in the late game, right? And then for his attack, on attack, you may defeat another friendly unit. If you do, deal 1 unit, the others to a unit, and draw a card. So again, more draw power, especially in the late game. I don't know if you're gonna wanna deal damage, like defeat one of your only units on the board in late game, unless it has an on defeat ability. And we'll kind of go over units that kind of work with that very well, because there are a few units that you do want to take out on your side. But overall, the deck is interesting. I think that he's a very interesting player, leader, and it just takes a while to get him going. And if you don't kind of get your perfect hands or like your perfect plays, you could fall behind your opponent, and at that point it might be too late because, you know, they're already attacking your base. So that's where it kind of gets into the controversy of the base that I play, and I kind of struggled with this, mainly because of the HP aspect of it. And the fact that you kind of want to play the long game, especially with this deck, because you need 8 resources to deploy Emperor Palpatine, right? I decided to still stick with Energy Conversion Lab. And again, you can always switch it out for the 30 HP base, and I might be switching in and out to do more testing to see which one works a little bit better, right? But Energy Conversion Lab is just really good to be able to give something with 6 or less resource value ambush, and that works really well. Obviously, if it's going to be playing the long game, it's green. You're going to have Super Laser Technician, but Energy Conversion Lab works really well. Super Laser Technician, and I will kind of go over that again as we get to him. But there are other cards that can work really well with this, and I just thought that having the opportunity to use ambush at any given moment was really strong, and I didn't want to give that up just for the 5 HP because of other units that we do play in this deck to kind of try to heal us and kind of keep us going as the game continues, right? But again, Energy Conversion Lab so good. I can't see many green decks playing without Energy Conversion Lab, to be honest. It's a really good base. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our ground units. We play an interesting spread of units here, right? So we play Vanguard Infantry. When defeated, give an experience token to a unit. It's good. It's just another target for Emperor Palpatine. And so I felt like it was a good target, especially I'm going to kind of go over like a little combo for early game if we do have that option. If it's in our hand, it's a very good start to a game. But yeah, Vanguard Infantry, very good in the fact that it's a good target for Emperor Palpatine. You go ahead, you defeat it, you get to draw the card, and then also give an experience token to one of your units. Getting to our next unit here, another unit that works really well with the ability of Emperor Palpatine is Admiral Mahdi. Now, Admiral Mahdi, when defeated, you get to ready a villainy unit. As you can see, we have a pretty good amount of villainy units in this deck. The main thing with this, though, is that you want to kind of save Admiral Mahdi until almost the very end. Mainly because you can get some extra attacks with your bigger units. And if that's the case, that's how you're going to end up coming back, because you're definitely not going to be in the lead most of the matches. While you're playing Emperor Palpatine, you're going to be trying to claw back after, dealing with some heavy hits as you're continuing putting down your resources, trying to get to the point to get Emperor Palpatine on the board, right? But Admiral Mahdi, in that late game, when you have Emperor Palpatine or bigger units, as we'll go over later, it's a very good combination. Emperor Palpatine is able to take out Admiral Mahdi itself, so then you can not have to worry about having to swing into something on your opponent's side if you don't have that opportunity. Also, if you do use Emperor Palpatine's ability to take out Admiral Mahdi, you do get to draw a card, which is just always very good. You just want to go through your deck as fast as possible because you want to be able to see the most of the cards in your deck, and that's how this deck is going to be at its best, is when it's continuously drawing and getting more cards so you can get your perfect plays out to maintain your HP and your game and your board state to get you to that point to where you can get your big units and Emperor Palpatine out on the board. The Admiral Mahdi, good combination with Emperor Palpatine, getting to swing at multiple big units at a time, very good. Next we have Yularen. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he is important. He's one of the more important cards. Sucks if I'm saying his name wrong, but here we are. He's very important for this deck because when you play a command unit, heal 1 damage from your base. So you kind of want this on your board as much as possible. Obviously, we are playing a double command deck, so every unit we're playing in this deck is pretty much command, except for 3 units or something like that. So you're pretty much going to be playing a command unit 90% of the time, right? This allows you to heal HP and try to, make sure that you can try to live as long as possible. So I think he's very important. He's a 3 of. And again, he's an official, which will come in handy later on. Super Laser Technician, you try and get up to 8 resources. This is a must, add a 3 of. You want to try to get these in your opening hand if you can. If not, at least try to get it in your opening 2 hands, because you want to be able to play this on turn 2, and you can use Energy Conversion Lab to give it ambush and swing it to your opponent to give yourself that extra resource early. Obviously if you have resupply, you can play that turn 2 and stuff like that, right? But if you have this in your hand, you don't have resupply or anything like that for turn 2, this is a good thing to use. Plus, you can go ahead and you can use Conversion Lab and get off that ambush attack. They put it right into your resources, which is just really good. Next, we have General Veers. I put him at a 2 of. I don't know if this is necessarily super needed in the deck. The reason I do have him, though, is because I'm trying to make things last longer. So if I have this on the board and we have Sentinels on the board, all of our Sentinels in this deck, well, not all of them, potentially, but majority of our Sentinels in the deck are Imperial units, so it'll give them that 1 extra HP. And when the next unit we're going to be going over, you know, that can play a huge difference. Even just that 1 more HP can make a Sentinel last an extra attack. So let's go into that unit right now. We have Cell Block Guard. So Cell Block Guard, obviously, just a Sentinel. We need it to try to stay alive. Again, with General Veers, though, it becomes a 4/4, and that's the main reason why I play General Veers. But yeah, Cell Block Guard, if you need to make sure you live an extra turn, as long as your opponent doesn't have Saboteur, or something that gives their unit Saboteur or take away your Sentinel for the turn, this is good because it's going to give you that extra time. Next, we have Emperor's Royal Guard. This works really well in this deck because when we control a Sentinel, we control an official, he becomes a Sentinel. That's really good. And while you control Emperor Palpatine as a leader unit, it gets the extra 1 HP. So that could also be really good. And the main reason why I put it in this deck is because it works specifically with this leader unit. So I wanted to showcase that. But also, having a Sentinel for a 3 cost at 3/5 is pretty good. And yeah, again, the synergy with Emperor Palpatine, I had to show it off in the deck. Homestead Militia. Now, I have it as a 2 of, but it's another Sentinel as long as we have 6 resources or more. And that's kind of the point of the deck, so I figured that it would be pretty good to have. It is a 3 cost 3/4. Not a bad Sentinel to have, especially if we're in the mid to late game. If you have resources to play it, go ahead and play it. It'll have Sentinel and you can protect your base. Now, Rook here, I like Rook. Again, when this unit deals combat damage to a non-leader unit while attacking, it defeats that unit. So it's kind of like that. If there's a huge threat on the opponent's side of the board, one of the big things with aggro decks is giving like experience tokens to make their smaller units very dangerous, right? This thing comes in shielded. If there's something that's really terrifying on your opponent's side of the board and you haven't used the Energy Conversion Lab yet, you can go ahead and do that, give this ambush and attack right into it and not have to worry about it. And you can do it once because it comes in shielded. So that's the main reason. It's just one of those board controlling cards. And there are things in this deck that can kind of make it a little bit stronger. And I'll kind of go over that later. But again, General Veers is one of them. Vanguard Infantry, another thing. If you still have those units either on the board or still able to use Vanguard Infantry to power up Rook, just not for the power, but for the HP, to make sure that it stays on the board as long as possible. That's where Rook is really handy in this deck. I have him as a 3 of. You can argue that he probably should be a 2 of, but I have him as a 3 of because you kind of want to see it, in my opinion. But either way, it's pretty good. Next, we have the 97th Legion. The reason I have this in the deck is because we're going to have a ton of resources as quickly as possible. And I figured it would be pretty good at a 7. Yes, I understand it's expensive at a 7 drop, but again, it comes out as a 7/7 and gets stronger as you put down more resources. So I felt like that was okay. So I felt like 97th Legion, it's time to show him off. Just because he's also a fun card. So going over our next unit, you're going to see there's a little bit of a skip early on, right? But I wanted to kind of add this in. I added in 3 Admiral Pyattes. Basically because he gives your bigger units ambush, right? Your units that cost 6 or more ambush. So before we go into our bigger units, I want to kind of go over the reason why I put Pyat in. He also works with the next unit we're going to be going over. But Admiral Pyat is really good for this deck for the late game because if your guys can attack into opposing units on the other side, that's where you're going to get extreme value to kind of take out your opponent's side of the board, taking over their units with Emperor Palpatine and just kind of trying to swing it to their base at the end, right? So Admiral Pyat I thought was really good in the deck. I might want to drop it down to 2. But right now he's a 3 of, just to kind of show what he can do with the next 2 units coming up, which are, well, obviously he does work with the 97th Legion that we just went over, but we also have the next card, Darth Vader. So Darth Vader, when he comes out, he searches the top 10 cards in the deck, and you can play any number of villainy units with the combination of the cost 3 or less, right? That's really good. It already has ambush, so that doesn't really work for Admiral Pyat, but again, you can get Admiral Pyat from the deck. That's really what I was trying to go with there. You can get Admiral Mahdi and Admiral Pyat in one go with that. That would be extremely good for your next turn, right? You can also get a Super Laser Technician. You can get Veers, which would be pretty good because you buff up your guys. You can go ahead and get Cell Block Guard, Emperor's Royal Guard, Homestead Militia. Then you can get your Sentinels to kind of make it so you can last a little bit longer. Darth Vader kind of works with this deck because when you play a unit, you get to add at least one unit, if not two, in some instances. So I felt like that was pretty good to add to the deck. Now, the main reason why Pyatt is here is for the Blizzard AT-AT. If we can use Darth Vader the turn before, get out Admiral Pyatt, and make it so our Blizzard AT-AT gets ambush, and then when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may deal excess unit from the damage to another enemy ground unit. And that's just a good way to spread out a lot of damage, right? So let's just say the combination that you kind of want to see, right? You get Darth Vader out there, you swing into something, obviously it's 5. Then you go ahead and you play Pyatt and Mahdi. Next turn comes around, you drop down a Blizzard AT-AT. It has ambush because of Pyatt. You attack into something, you destroy it, you do excess damage to another thing. Out comes Emperor Palpatine, takes over that damaged unit. And then Emperor Palpatine attacks, you take out Mahdi, you attack with Blizzard AT-AT again. That's like a crazy combo. If you can manage to get that to go down, that's where you're going to see the most value, and the reason why I kind of put those things together. I'm going to hope that in our Force Table showdown thing that we can showcase that. That would be epic, but me discussing it here, that's probably the best you're going to see at the moment. That's just one of the crazy combos you can do in the late game with this deck, but it's just something to kind of think about when it comes to getting these bigger units on the board with the combination of Pyatt to give it ambush. And yes, I understand I didn't have it initially, but as I was kind of going over, I thought it was already in the deck list, and it was not. So it's just very good to have Pyatt with, especially Blizzard AT-AT in a deck like this. Going into our space units here, you're going to see them come up. We don't play many space units, but the ones we do play, they're kind of important. I play 2 Devastators. Now, the Devastator comes in mainly because it has Sentinel, it has Overwhelm, and then when played, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the number of resources you control. You're going to be controlling at least 10, if not 11, 12. Nothing's really living that unless they got excess amounts of experience tokens, which does happen. But this is pretty much taking out something upon entry, which is really good. That's kind of what you want. Getting into our next unit here, the Star Viper, I think is actually pretty important for this deck for the longevity of your base. We are playing a 25 HP base along with our Colonel from before. We have the Star Viper here. When you have initiative, you have Restore 2. I cannot stress this enough how much this has saved me in many matches where I play a lot of things to kind of get my hand done quickly, just so I can get initiative and swing and heal myself as I'm getting damage, right? So if you start healing HP with this, and then you start using Sentinels to save your base from the ground units, it's a good combination to make it so you do have that longevity to last till when you get Emperor Palpatine on the board, so you can do your fun little combos to take over things and stuff like that. So that's like the big reason why I play the Star Viper. And then we have the Gladiator Star Destroyer. Again, it's another way to give Sentinel to something. And it's a pretty good card. Going into our next things here, we have our events. We only play 5 different events. We play the Emperor's Legion. Now, this works well with Emperor Palpatine because you can go ahead and you can take out your own unit. You can swing into something else with another unit and take out all of your units, play this, and bring them back into your hand. So that you can get their abilities once more. Let's just say we have Admiral Mahdi and you want to be able to use Admiral Mahdi again. I love that combination that you get Admiral Mahdi to have Blizzard AT-AT attack, and then you use Emperor's Legion to bring back Admiral Mahdi into your hand, and then you go ahead and you play it. It's a 1 cost, so you probably have the resources to play it, and then the next turn you just do it all over again. It's just very, very good to be able to do that. We were playing double command for this reason. We have resupply. We need to be able to get ramp. We need to be able to get up to 8 resources pretty quickly. So resupply was a must. It's like Super Laser Technician. Playing double command, so we can play command for the cost of 4. This way we can kind of do the ramping early game for as little cost as possible. But not only that, command also works really well in the late game because you can give your things 2 experience, which is really good. I like giving 2 experience sometimes to Yularen, just because keeping him on the board as long as possible is really good. I like to give it to my Sentinels, Rook, and then obviously our big units. Getting this late game is very good. If you're playing it earlier, right, you want to put it into your resource pile. That's one of the options that you have. But if it's late game, you can give something 2 experience and then a friendly unit deals damage equal to its power to a non-unique enemy unit. So if there are just a bunch of like small things, because a lot of decks, again, they're aggro, you can go ahead and you can take out those non-unique units, which is pretty good. And then obviously you can return a unit for your discard pile into your hand. That's not that bad either. But typically I tend to stick to the giving out 2 experience, dealing the damage to a non-unique unit, or doing the resources. But in a pinch, grabbing that card from the discard pile could come in handy. I play 2 maximum firepowers. Imperial units, your friendly Imperial units deals damage to an enemy unit, and then another one does the same. So that's a good way to take out bigger units if you have 2 mid-sized units. And then Overwhelming Barrage, it's a must-have in any green villainy deck. So I play 2 of that. Also my favorite card in the set. It's just a lot of fun. So that's going to do it for the deck list. Now that we've gone through our list, as you guys see, we're going to go over some units that you could possibly put into the deck that we currently are not running, but they're still probably equally as good, if not better, than some of the options that we went with for your play style. Starting off with Grandma of Tarkin. Now, obviously, as you guys know, we've gone over this card quite a bit, but when played, search the top 5 cards of your deck and grab 2 Imperial cards, reveal them, and then draw them, right? So this allows you to grab 2 Imperial cards from your deck. This is pretty good searcher. It also allows you to kind of thin your deck and get you closer to the cards that you want. Working with Emperor Palpatine, making it so you can go through your deck even faster, so you can see a lot of cards this way. I just felt like it was just, as a 4 cost, I couldn't see myself playing it in this deck that I'm currently running. But again, if you do want to run this, it's definitely plausible, and you can definitely do that. It's not a bad card by any stretch. Now we're going to go over to Relentless. Now, Relentless is actually pretty good, especially if you're going to start playing the long game, right? The first event card played by each opponent loses ability, meaning that when it comes down to lasting as long as we do, takedowns and vanquish and stuff like that tend to come in clutch for the opponent. But if you put this down, the first event that they play just is useless. So it gets to the point where, do they want to throw an event away just to do these things, right? So that's actually a pretty good card to throw in here. I just elected to go more with the Devastator route, but definitely could see that going in. Another fun card that you could possibly put in is General Krell. Now, General Krell, being a 5 cost is, for a 5/4, is kind of rough. It doesn't, like, he's kind of easily taken out at that 4 HP mark. I kind of wish that he had a little bit more HP, but honestly, he's still a fun card. It just adds to the draw power of the deck, and I can potentially see you wanting to throw this in. Getting into some events here, we have Attack Pattern Delta. That's not too bad. It allows you to kind of play more of a control-y type of style and using your guys to attack other things, or for possibly applying pressure to your opponent's base with 3 of your units. So that's potential there. Patrol V-Wing if you want more draw power. I originally did have this in the deck list, but I ended up scrapping it because Star Viper was more valuable, and other things that kind of kept us alive longer. I felt I valued those things more than the draw power the Emperor Palpatine potentially give you anyway. But Patrol V-Wing is definitely a card that you can kind of put in there. Steadfast Battalion. Now, this is an interesting one, right? The only reason I say that this is potentially okay in this deck, because one, it has Overwhelm, and then when you have your leader out, it gets +2/+2. I mean, it gives a, like, if you control a leader unit, give a friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase. So it could be itself, or it could be Palpatine. It could be anything. It's pretty interesting. It's just something that with Palpatine having 10 HP, it would stay on the board a pretty good amount. So it sees a place in this deck. I just chose not to go that route. We're going to go into some upgrades here. Now, the upgrades are interesting because obviously you could run Academy Training, as always, kind of use that to get the boost to, again, apply pressure or take out your opponent's things with stronger units, but I chose not to do that. I chose to kind of focus on getting my resources to the point of which I need them to be. So I focus a lot more on the ramp. But a very interesting card that you can play in this deck is Traitorous. Now, I would put this in the sideboard for sure, no matter what, because especially if you're going up against those aggro decks, they have a lot of 3-cost units, and you can take one of them from them. So that's pretty good. And then you go ahead and use Emperor Palpatine to take a bigger unit as well. And you're just taking units from your opponent, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Traitorous is definitely a card that I would probably put in the side deck, if not in the main deck. So it just has to be at 3 costs or less. And that's the only downside of it. But still a fun card to use, especially because you're going to be taking multiple units from your opponent with that and Palpatine. It's just a fun combination. Strike 2, always good. Strike True is just a way for you to deal damage from your units to your opponent's units. Now, yes, command allows you to do that, but it doesn't do it to non-unique units. This allows you to, it doesn't do it to unique units. This allows you to do it to any enemy unit. So that's why this card is potentially pretty good, because the Emperor Palpatine list that I have doesn't really have that removal outside of Rook, right? It's just, it's good. I just need to spend my resources to get me to my point in a specific way. And if I'm delaying it even a little bit to go ahead and take out other units, it could become a problem. So I chose not to run it. So that's going to do it for the deck list and the extra cards. I chose not to include the normal Imperial cards like TIE Advance and Snowtrooper Lieutenant and stuff like that, just to get some, like, a little bit of a different look to it, because, like, yeah, obviously you can add those to any Imperial deck and it'll be pretty solid. Doing something a little bit different than the normal video, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of this deck. I'm going to start with the cons. The cons being that it is really slow. You are heavily reliant on the ramp cards. I feel like if you get a game where you get no Super Laser Technician, you get no resupply or command, you are in a really bad spot. You really need to get up to the point where you get 8 resources probably faster than your opponent if they're not playing a slower deck like yours. If they're playing an aggro deck and you don't get any of your ramp cards, it's going to be tough sledding, honestly. But with that being said, the pros, I think that the deck lends itself to some really fun combos. I think it's a really fun deck to play. And it's not that it can't beat those aggro decks. It definitely can, but it does rely on getting, like, really good hands and, like, playing really well as well. Like, you have to be really decisive on your turns to really make sure you're maximizing your usage of your resources and your hand as you're going up against an aggro deck. But overall, the deck is a lot of fun, and we're going to showcase it here on Force Table. Again, Force Table is not the best way, as we always talk about. The AI sometimes does some questionable things, but hopefully we can still use Force Table to showcase some of the combos that we were talking about earlier. If we can get off that really, really big one, that would be really cool, but we're probably not going to be able to do that. But still be able to show off the synergy within the cards and the combos and potential combos that we can do with this deck is kind of the goal, even though the AI is kind of questionable, right? So we're going to go ahead and hop over there, and I'll see you guys over there. All right, you are joining us here on Force Table. We're going to go over our Emperor Palpatine deck here against Sabine. Sabine being one of the fastest aggro decks and the most annoying to play against sometimes, especially with this deck. But we're going to try to showcase the fact that this deck can go ahead and take on aggro decks and do pretty well. That's the main focus of this part of the video. I do think that we could kind of rock with this, to be honest. I know I'm not going to be able to play anything on the first turn, but having 2 cell block guards, it's not too bad. I'm going to take the mulligan. I want to get 2 specific cards. I'm going to showcase this one. We got one of them. We're going to go ahead and play down Mahdi because we don't need it just yet. I'm going to keep those. I don't really need that just yet. I know as good as that is, I just don't need it right now. The main thing is like, we kind of want to have Colonel Yularen in here, and we want to get the infantry, Vanguard infantry on our next draw. That would be the ideal combo here. We didn't, but we have some, he has Saboteurs, so that's kind of annoying. But we're going to do this. I don't have to worry too much about my HP at the moment, but if we go ahead and play this, next turn we can start healing up, which is really good. He's going to go ahead and attack right into our Yularen. Make sure we don't gain any more HP. That's actually good for us. We're going to go ahead and take initiative. So now we both have things that restore, but mine's a little bit better as long as I have initiative. And I think I am just going to go ahead and attack into his and take his out next turn. This way he's not gaining HP, but I still can. We do have our Vanguard Infantry, which is good to hold on to. I'm actually going to put this down. We are going to go ahead and, like I said, we're going to attack into his restored Arc 17. We don't want him gaining that HP. Yes, I'm down to 1 HP, but I'd rather be able to kind of try to keep him from gaining as much HP as possible. I am then going to go ahead, and I think that my best play is to put down a Sentinel just in case. I probably should have ramped up with resupply, but I knew that this was coming out. He will be able to take out my Sentinel this turn, but it is what it is. We're going to get the... Yeah, he's definitely going to be able to take out my Sentinel for sure. But again, he's wasting that just to take out a Sentinel. Is it worth it? I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to take initiative here. Okay. We can put out general views. I think that's the play. But first things first. Is that the play? Either way, I think we got to get resupply up. The main thing here is that we're not able to take out Sabine. Whether we attack into him with Vanguard, we need the draw. So we're still going to be able to do the 1 damage that he would have been doing. We're going to give the experience to our guy over here, and we're going to deal 1 damage to Sabine. Sabine is almost dead. We're going to hopefully be able to... Yeah, Super Elite Technician, that kind of works. So I'm going to use Super Elite Technician to take out Sabine next turn. We'll be able to get the ramp up off that, and kind of go from there. We're going to go ahead. We're going to restore our base here. We're back up to max HP. I'm going to go ahead and take initiative here. The main reason for this is that, yes, we're going to take a pretty decent amount. We're going to take 6 damage here. But next turn, I'm going to be able to take this out, and it's going to be 1 damage. I'm going to be able to survive. He won't be able to get the extra damage in space. You have to choose whether or not to play a card or deal damage. I think that we go ahead and put this down, but actually this is actually pretty good as well to hold on to. Initiative, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and put down Veers. I'm not too worried about gaining the extra things because we are going to be... Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. The main reason, yes, I'm going to end up losing my Star Viper, but we can't have all of his guys getting initiative. I mean, raid. So this is something we cannot allow. We do end up living that. Now I think that we go ahead and we use our ambush here. And yes, because we're going to go ahead and take out Sabine, which is pretty good. Okay, so he does attack with that, which kind of stinks. I was kind of hoping that he didn't do that. It does have Saboteur. So the main thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to use Emperor Palpatine's ability to take out my unit, deal 1 damage there. So if we do end up getting any more Sentinels out, we can go ahead and... Yeah. Also, him playing those. We're going to now go ahead and take out our leader here. And we're going to take over that unit. He does put out another one of those. We're going to be attacking here. It just might not be enough. That's the thing. I don't want to deal the damage to my guy just to draw a card. We're going to have to pass here. There is a single card that we can get that can kind of help here. Okay, so we can get the Sentinel to kind of survive. Yes, this kind of works. I think we're going to be playing a lot of things here. Okay, so we're going to be taking 3 damage. The main thing is like we're going to try to gain some HP here. We're going to take 1 damage there. We are going to use our Emperor's Loyal Guard. We do gain the HP. He is going to live. We're going to take out his guy there. We are now going to go ahead and play our Vanguard Infantry. We are going to take 3, which is kind of annoying, but now we are going to attack with Emperor Palpatine, taking out our Vanguard Infantry. We're going to be able to... I just gave him an experience, didn't I? That was dumb of me. Whatever. Now we're going to go ahead and use this. We're going to get our infantry back. We're going to go ahead and play it so we can gain another HP. I can't believe I just gave that experience over there. I just wasn't paying attention. Whatever. We will pass. We'll work with our blunders. I think we can use Veers here and win the game. Yes, I could have attacked. I completely forgot about that too. I am blundering hard. I think we actually got this game though. That was so dumb of me. I should have attacked there. But I digress. We're in a good spot here. We play another Royal's Emperor's Guard. So we're good. We have 9 resources. Okay, so he's going to do a pretty good amount of damage. Actually, if he has to keep fighting, we lose. Oh, actually, I don't think he can play keep fighting. So this is, here we go. Well, let's just attack because we have plenty of attacking units here. Emperor Palpatine goes ahead. We drop this. We give an experience to our Royal Guard. Deal 1 damage over here. Draw our AT-AT, which is kind of cool. Now we attack over here. And now we attack over here. So, as you can see, it got dicey because I was stupid. But nevertheless, we were able to showcase a lot of what I want to do with this deck. We were able to showcase the ability to use the Emperor's Royal Guards at the end, get our Sentinels on the board, use Vanguard Infantry, power up our other units, and use the draw power from Palpatine towards the end. If we weren't able to take over the Sentinel, the Saboteur, on the other side, we would not have even won that game because he would have been able to swing into the base anyway. So the ability of Palpatine coming in, using his ability to pop the Vanguard Infantry, to be able to ping that unit, take it over after that, put it on our side. I didn't even use it to attack the base because I was being so kind to them. That's the real reason. But no, the deck is really fun to use. But again, a lot of things had to go right. Look at his hand. He had 2 takedowns and K2 SO. It just, I like the deck. I think that the ability to be able to take over a unit of your choice in the late game is pretty cool and kind of fun. And General Yularen, very important in this match. The amount of command units we were able to play late to be able to survive this attack here. 1, I gave the experience token over there. 2, it's going to happen. Sometimes you misclick. But it be what it be. The deck did what it was supposed to do. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. We're at like 715, thanks to all of you guys who support. And we're going to go on and get out of here. And we'll be seeing you on the next deck list video. And we are going to be having more matchup videos soon. It's just Matt's basement's almost ready to go. So with that being said, we're going to go on and get out of here. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.